y'all. Okay, so I'm back and I just wanted to come back and share something with you guys. Now, typically I don't share too much of my personal business online. I pretty much keep all of my stuff to myself. I do share some things, but and those would be the things that either God has told me to share or I don't mind being out there. But God told me that He wanted me to share this. So this is me being obedient. Now, most of my spiritually mature people will be able to resonate with this topic more so than those that aren't that spiritually inclined. However, if you're a believer, you're a believer. So, I mean, you don't have to be, spiritually mature in order for you to be able to resonate with what I'm about to talk about. So, have any of you guys ever felt like you're not quite alone? Now, I don't want you guys, some of you are probably thinking, okay, here she go being weird again. But, this is reality. This is something that happens to a lot of us. I know I'm not the only one out here that is able to communicate with God and spiritual beings. So, but has any of you ever kind of felt like you're not quite alone? Like maybe there's another presence around, and I'm not talking about like an evil presence. I'm talking about like a divine presence, like an angel or God or something like that. There may have been times where, well, I'm going to speak for myself. There's times where I thought I saw something, but, wasn't quite sure and kind of pretty much talked myself out of what I thought I saw out the corner of my eye, or could have blankly seen something, but because, this was before I was spiritually mature. I wasn't following God like that. And so a lot of times we talk ourselves out of things that we see or things that we hear or things that we know is something supernatural. But because, we're logical people, we often tend to try to make sense out of it. But, excuse me, y'all, I just had a whole coughing attack and just had to go rebuke Satan, and slay a demon right quick. But I'm back. So, but what I was saying was, oftentimes we will try to make sense out of the things that we are seeing and hearing that we know is supernatural, but our, logical minds and, the human in us just don't want to believe that we're hearing and seeing these things. Now, all of my life, I've always felt this way. And there was a lot of supernatural things that happened to me as a child. But being a child, I didn't know what was going on. And I didn't really see too much as a child. I didn't really start seeing things until I became an adult. But as a child, a lot of supernatural things would happen to me. And I didn't know how to explain it. I didn't know what it was. I just chalked it up as, that just happened. So this particular incident, though, that God wants me to share is I was a child, maybe no more than, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, give or take. And I was outside playing, and I was riding a scooter. Now, I was raised in the country. I'm from South Carolina, and we was raised in the deep South, like in the country of the city that we lived in. The particular part that we lived in was considered the country. So, with like dirt roads, and we didn't live on a dirt road, but, there was people down the street from us that had, a farm with like cows and stuff like that, like the deep South. So, I'm outside on this road, and I'm riding my scooter, a little scooter. I don't know. I think it was my friend's scooter. I think I was riding her scooter, and I was alone. She stayed at her house while I was just riding up and down the street on this scooter. And because I didn't have a scooter, and I was happy to be riding one, because I don't know if it was my first time riding a scooter or not, but I really wanted to ride the scooter. So I'm riding her scooter up and down the street. And as I'm riding and going down the street, I hear a car coming from behind me. And I'm old enough. Now, first of all, I was on the side of the road. I was in the street, but I was on the side. It wasn't like I was in the middle of the street. But once I heard the car coming, I literally went over into the dirt area, because there were no sidewalks. I went over into the dirt area and to make sure that I was out of the road. I'm old enough to know that you can't be in the street when there's cars coming. So I did that, and I hear the car approach, and the next thing I know is I'm being knocked off of the scooter, and I can't remember if I fell down. I want to say I fell down. It knocked me down. And what knocked me down was the force of this car hitting me. Now, it wasn't a hit me right here in the car, literally bam, hitting me like that. It was more like, this is me and this is the car, boom, like that. So it didn't hit me full on, but it definitely hit me hard enough to knock me down. So now I was a tough little kid, a tough little girl. I was a tomboy, and it took a lot to really make me cry. So I don't remember crying, but I remember falling down, getting back up and looking to see what had just hit me, and realized, wow, I just got hit by a car. And it was actually a white van. Now, I don't know why it's always a white van. Why is a white van always involved in something criminal or evil or, whatever the case may be, but it was a white van. So, like I said, to me, I'm like, oh, that car just hit me. Not thinking that it was something done on purpose, or me being a little girl, I just really just chalked it up as, oh man, that was it. And that's literally how I took it, to the point it was so nonchalant to me that I didn't even go home right away and tell my grandmother what had happened. So, like I said, I don't remember crying, because if I would have been crying and distraught, I would have gone home, and I didn't. I went back to my friend's house because I was on her scooter, and I went back to her house, and I remember telling her mother that I had just got hit by a car. Like I said, it was just so nonchalant, and she almost didn't believe me at first, because I wasn't crying or nothing, and she was like, pretty much stop making stuff up. And I'm like, I'm not lying. I really did just get hit by a car. And I was like, see, and it was on this side of my body. And when I turned and showed her where I had gotten hit at, and all this side of my body was all swollen, my back area, my shoulder, and my arm, top part of my arm was all swollen. And I think it was bruised and stuff. And so she was like, oh my God, go home and tell your grandmother, because we lived with our grandparents. And she was like, oh my God, go home and tell your grandmother. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I said, it was no big deal to me. I didn't even cry, y'all. And if you would have seen the injury, for a little girl, you would think that I would have been bawling, crying. I literally had just got hit by a car so hard that it knocked me off of the scooter in the grass. So, long story short, I went home and I told my grandmother what happened. And, she was all upset and asking me, well, who was it? Did you see the car describing? And I'm a little kid. All I know, it was a white van. That's it. I wasn't thinking about trying to get no license plate number or anything like that. So it really wasn't too much that we could do about it. It was just stay out the street type thing, so that was an incident, that happened to me in my childhood, and I kind of carried that, throughout my life, because it, it was something memorable. I wouldn't say it was traumatic to me at the time because it wasn't. So I wasn't like traumatized by this my entire life. So, but it was something that I definitely remembered. So, years and years passed. And once I started getting closer to God, and He started revealing things to me, and He disclosed to me, that I had been a victim of witchcraft and a black magic, voodoo, all of these things my entire life. Because of the calling that is on my life that He's placed on me. So, He started revealing all of these things to me, and how specific incidents in my life that I always grew up thinking were accidents were not accidents, and was due to someone literally trying to take me out. Okay, so now that He started revealing these things to me, He didn't give me specific incidents or times or anything like that, but when something like that gets revealed to you, you start replaying your entire life, to yourself. Your whole life flashes before your eyes, and you start thinking like, well, dang, I remember that time when this, and I wonder if this time when that. And one of the main memories that popped up was when I got hit by that car, that van. And so and I had started asking God about that particular incident, and for a while I had never gotten an answer for it. And just a few days ago, in a vision, He showed me that that was no accident at all. It was actually on purpose. And what He showed me was inside of the car, the van, the truck, or whatever it was, inside of the front part, and where the driver's steering wheel and all of that is, He showed me an entity. I wouldn't say an angel because I didn't see wings or anything like that, but an entity standing over the driver and manipulating the wheel in the different in the to the left, because I was to the right. So He showed me this entity manipulating the wheel, which I would assume was an angel, manipulating the wheel to the right and swerving, preventing the van from hitting me full on. So this particular incident that I've gone all my life thinking that was an accident was no accident at all. And it's just a miraculous testimony of how God shows up for us in times when we don't even know that it was Him that saved us, or it was Him that came through, or it was Him that gave you that blessing. All blessings are from God. Whatever the blessing is, just know that that came from God. So but that's the story, guys. And it just really blew my mind, because when I started asking Him about it, I didn't know if He would reveal it to me, or, in the fact that He wasn't revealing it right away, I just chalked that up as to, yeah, it was just an accident. But, He has His divine timing in ways that He do things, and when He wants to reveal things to you. And, but yeah, that's the story. So, and I just say all of that to say, for one, being obedient because He told me to share it. And for two, this is why it's so important to have a relationship with God, because He will reveal things to you. If you have questions about your past, your childhood, or anything that you don't know, stuff that you suspect but you don't really know for sure, go to God and He will give you the answers that you seek. All right, so that's the end of my story. You guys have a great day.